I'm Jenny P, and you are watching another episode of our fabulous Changemaker sections in the House of Preeminence magazine. These are all movers and shakers who are pioneering movements and real initiatives in this world where we need change makers and movers and shakers right now. It is my absolute delight to introduce you today to, I hope I'm going to pronounce it right, and I'm going to let you repeat it because I'm sure it's going to sound a lot better, to the gorgeous Runa Magnusdóttir.
Voila!
Magnusdóttir. It
Yay.
Sounds so beautiful. So she is founder of the No More Boxes movement. Okay, so we are in an era when all of the boxes are imploding. So this issue is all about reinventing yourself. We are going to do something a little bit different in this sharing. We are going to actually do an exercise in talking a new world into being. So without further ado, let me introduce you to Runa, and she's going to tell you about the No More Boxes movement and why she founded it. Welcome, my lovely.
Oh, thank you so much. And thank you for giving me this opportunity. And by the way, I'm the co-founder of the movement. And it's important to say that because, and you asked the question, how did the whole thing start? It actually started on a crispy March morning in New York City. I was invited to speak at a conference there held at the United Nations headquarters. It was a conference called Impact Leadership and Global Summit. And I can really tell you, Jenny, I mean, I was really excited to be invited to speak at this conference because the context was they were going to look at three of the UN goals, sustainable development goals, and these were sustainability, peace, and gender equality. And I have, for as long as I can remember, I have been an advocate for gender equality. I serve on various global advisory boards. I'm the past vice president of the Icelandic Association of Women Business Leaders. I basically been there. So I was extremely excited to go to this and well, it was an honor to speak at this conference, but I was really excited to learn from other people there. You know, we're talking about world leaders in this field. So, but I'm telling you, even though I was so excited to go, nothing could have prepared me for what happened that day. And that links to the No More Boxes movement. Just bear with me. You see, on one of the panels, Nicholas Haynes, who is one of my change makers and was there, he was, this was a panel called Conversation with Men. And Nick was asked this question. You said, the question was something like, Nick, why haven't we reached the UN Sustainable Development Goals on gender equality? And Nick said, well, it's because we keep putting people into stereotype boxes. And not only do we do that, we expect them to live and behave as these boxes. This was so big for me, Jenny. I sat there in the room and I just watched this and thought, wow, this is so true. We are consistently creating this division between ourselves through something that isn't even, it isn't static. It is, you know, it's just something that is in our heads there. And then I heard Nick say, this just can't, it will never work. But you see, he said, if we have a stereotype of a man, and what happens then if you are a man who is loving, caring, and you love nothing more than to take care of children or to nurture, you being judged. You've been told to man up. You've been told you're not a man enough. And you basically are being ridiculed. And right there, Jenny, I'm sitting there and I'm just thinking, I just get this flashback and I think, whoa, I go back to the time when my ex-husband, he was in fact a stay-at-home dad. That was 20 years ago, more than that. And even though at the time, and here am I, the whole feminist person, here am I, and I thinking, even though I had thought there was nothing wrong with him being a stay-at-home home dad, I noticed there he had been judged, yes. And the worst thing was, I realized I had Justin too, without even knowing, without even noticing, because it was so embedded in my own DNA. And right then I'm thinking, wow, I wasn't even aware that I had this program that was running in my body. And I can honestly say, for a split moment, I thought, wow, if I would have been aware of that, would that maybe have saved my marriage? So I'm sitting there with all these thoughts, and then I hear Nick say, well, and what if you're a woman and you're fast forward thinking, you're a driver, you want things to happen, and you're a go-getter, and you're told, slow down, be more of a lady, not be so confrontational. And you're basically told you're not good enough. And at that time, I'm like, holy moly, he's talking about me. and I go back in time when, remembering really as a young girl, I just literally could hear my mom go, Runa, could you please wear a dress? You know, for once in your life, could you wear a dress? And then I could hear, you know, things that I remembered being constantly told not to be so straightforward, that I should embrace the woman inside of me. You know, these are the things that I've heard so many times. And right there, I understood that that was actually part of why I had not felt that I was good enough as I was, because I had been constantly told that I needed to be something different than I am because I'm a woman. So here I am at the UN. This is going on. You know, this is like a matrix moment for me. And I remember when I left the headquarters there, I was just in like, holy moly, we have to do something about this. This is crazy. Later, I find myself in a taxi with Nick, and we're going to JFK. And this taxi ride became actually quite a long taxi ride. It was supposed to take 40 minutes. It took 2.5 hours because there was a storm coming in and God knows what. Anyway, we keep on talking about the boxes. We start to talk about, you know, how boxes have throughout humankind been creating concentration camps, slavery, you know, all of these things that we have in our history that have to do with divisions. And we also start to talk about this. Yeah, boxes can be good. You know, it can be good when you're in a group of friends, we feel that we're safe and all of that. And so, you know, we understood that as a way of understanding the world. So we have all this conversation. And in that taxi, Jenny, we decide this is it. It was like time out. If we want to change something in the world, this is the core of how we as human beings behave, and we need to be more aware of our it's just an automatic behavior. So when I left, or when I said goodbye to Nick at JFK, you can just imagine my heart was beating so fast, because in that taxi we decided this was it. We decided we are going to create a movement. We decided we're going to write a book. We decided we're going to create programs around this. We decided we're basically going to do something about this. And that's exactly what we did. So 6 months to the day, actually to the day of us leaving that taxi, Nick and I have our very first No More Boxes event, which was held at the Icelandic Embassy in London, where we gathered influencers in the UK on gender equality to have a deep dive conversation about the gender box at that time. And since then we have, and well, going back to that time, 9 months after that taxi drive, the book is out. The Story of Boxes, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. And now 2.5 years later, we have created the movement. We are on a weekly basis talking with people on open calls where we're unpacking some of these boxes. We're looking inside of them, and we have even now we're looking at the next phase in this, because this is it can be really complicated when you go into this conversation, because so many will go, well, you can't smash these boxes. This is something that we have in our DNA. And I totally get that view. And I have to be honest as well. I've been there thinking, Runa, are you totally mad on this? You know, can this actually be changed? And here's my thought on it. We've managed to figure it out on working with leading neuroscientists, leading energy experts in the field of humanity. We've thought about, okay, how can we make this super simple process for us human beings? And we found out it actually changes everything when you change your language, when you change the words that you choose to use. Now, we are all, and I'm sorry, I'm just babbling on here. We are all so programmed to use stereotypes when we speak. I think, and I know I'm generalizing here, but I think there are very few who are not. Let's put it that way. And as a result of that, the moment we say these phrases that normally just come automatically, we don't think about it, they just come automatically. We'll say, well, man, let's say, like an example, men are now, since the Me Too movement, men are now afraid to go in the lift with women. That is a statement that we actually have heard on several occasions. And Nick once pointed it out, exactly that. And he said, well, some men are afraid to go into the lift with a woman or with women. So we found out that if you put this 4-letter word, some, in front of your statement, we can start to have conversation about the real issue, not stereotyping everyone into that one box. Can you see that?
Yes, absolutely. And it is a tendency of the brain,
Yeah.
to categorize people. It functions like that.
Yeah.
It functions like that automatically, except that our programming has exacerbated the functioning, so that because in say ancient times, it's the reptilian brain. The brain wants to know if it's safe with the person it's just about to meet. If it has the same values, if we can stay in the same cave, if we're going to, if we're in competition. So the brain's still working like that. But however, and I'm sure you've probably got quite a lot to say about ego and separation, but all of these things in our programming have helped exacerbate this whole thing, so that we are now only comfortable if we're putting people in boxes and saying, she's a this and he's a that, and we can catch ourselves, even if we're mindful and conscious and full of aware, we can still catch ourselves with these automisms of every single day. And you're absolutely right. It's through language and communication that we do this. We might be thinking, but the next thing is what comes out of our mouths as a result of what's just gone on in there. And all of a sudden, as the world is built on the fact that we speak our world into being, of course, we've spoken these divisions into being, and more
Into
and
being.
more and more.
And
Hence, so much division now because of the divisions, which are a big bloody mess to heal and clean up because of these divisions.
And then on the top of that, in the world that we're living in today, on top of that, artificial intelligence is creating that as well. They're just creating more of, you see on your social media feed, more of just one view. So, and it's creating, I mean, what we're watching with what's going on in the United States as an example, you know, and we can go everywhere to see how it's looking. And it's not going to unite us. It's not nurturing us the way that we do this. And the only way I think is a possibility to change this is to change our narrative to this, is to change that, number one, to admit we do it. Absolutely is number one. Just saying, I'm a human being, I do this. It may be saving myself some brain calories, like you're saying, just to understand the world. But that it just being aware that understanding my world is not exactly the world as I am living in it today. I am taking something that was from my DNA that not even my parents lived, not even my grandparents lived, or I'm going so back that in the time when it was developed and it was created, the most maybe was needed, like you're saying, just the safety thing. Is this lion going to kill me or not? And how many of us are living within lions, you know, ask me. But seriously, we're taking that and without any observation, we're just making that into today's world like that. And the more that we, just like you're saying, you said it so correctly, the more that I see how we consistently then manifest these stereotypes in everything that we say, the more the stereotypes are there. So I give you an example, because this is often really contradicting what your head and heart, it's like it doesn't connect really, because you might know everything, you might have an opinion about everything, like for instance, like gender equality as an example. You might be like me. I absolutely put myself into the box of being a feminist. For me, being a feminist means that I want to embrace humanity. That is what I've put into that box till this day. For other people, feminist means something else. So I need to stop to talk about myself as a feminist, because all of a sudden I start to talk about what they feel about the word feminist, or I can simply say very clearly, I believe in humankind and I believe in people. Then I can probably get away from that being labeled as something. Now, what I'm going to want to get at is, I was attending, just to give you this one example about the gender bit. I attended a conference held here in Iceland, actually, and there was a little exercise that we were supposed to do. It was an international conference. There were people from all over the world there, and the exercise that we were supposed to do in little groups was to put a piece of paper. There was one, it was like a box drawn up, two boxes. Speaking of boxes, one was male, the other was woman, and then the group was supposed to just give in words that, what do you think of when you think of, you know, the stereotype of a man and the stereotype of a woman. And I decided to stand and watch and just observe what was going on. So, stereotype of man. This was just a group of women, by the way. They came in with strong, opinionated, a leader, aggressive. There was these words that all were like, and it was like almost like they would say abusive. You know, the words that came in, and I thought, wow, they are manifesting this. When I listened to them, I just really thought, and the same when it came to women, they were beautiful, they were soft, they were listening, they were understanding, they, you know, all of these things that, and I thought, wow. So I thought when I came, my input into what is a man, I thought, okay, I'm manifesting the man that I see as a man, the man that I experience in my life as a man. So I said, loving, caring, and I brought up all the things, all the traits that I personally notice in men around me. Jenny, would you believe it that I actually, as I sat there and I gave in these words that I felt, and I thought, I'm going to be responsible. And what sort of if there has to be a stereotype of a box of a man, if that's something that people have to have, I want to manifest what that should be, or what I want that to be, and what I see it to be. Women in that group, they looked at me, more than one and more than two, and said, men are not loving, men are not sweet. And I thought, wow, are you married, or do you have boys? Have you raised boys? Is that really how you raised them then? I didn't say it, but I thought about it, because this becomes so big. It becomes so big when you look at our responsibility. If we keep doing things the way that we've always done things, just for the sake of that's how we've always done it.
So let me ask you a question, Runa. How much do you think that is responsible for this, well, it's not apparent, this whole divisive, potentially divisive conversation about the patriarchy being responsible for all of the rubbish things that are happening in the world, in the traits that those women were bringing up about men are absolutely the ones that have shown up in a global way, with, you know, men being in power and men being abusive, and it's something we know, but it's really interesting.
Some men have definitely done that.
Yes, and yes, some men have, some men. So what you're saying is that the focus on, and it's very current. It is so current. It is such a current conversation. So but the focus on labeling men, you know, as responsible, partly responsible for this, you know, matriarchal divide, has contributed to its happening. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
And so interesting,
isn't it? And
so
again, there definitely have been some men who have been doing that. Absolutely. And actually there have been some women as well. Not all men, and not all women. And it is exactly the same thing that happens when on the other side. I mean, I have been advocating for women, like I said, for as long as I can remember. Women in leadership roles, women in politics, women entrepreneurs. You know, that has been my mission in life, to bring them forth, helping them branding themselves, you know, all of these things that I've done in my life. And I'm very proud of that. But I also see now that I was blindsided as well. Look, I know I'm becoming like even I don't, it's not on a political level that I'm saying this, but I just want to point out, look at the latest judge that's been pointed out in the United States. Have you seen any women organization or any women empowerment movement praise for that woman being pointed there because she is a woman? No, we're silent. The thing isn't about being a woman. It's about the traits that we bring forth. It's about who we are and how we bring that forward. It's about how we as individuals can evolve and can even grow as individuals and bring to the table our uniqueness and what we were born to do on this planet, not by how we look or which gender we are. But this goes deep, and it will not change unless we start to change our language, unless we start to allow ourselves that when we fall, because we will fall into the trap of labeling, into the trap of putting people into boxes, we will do that. But being responsible of your own action, and when you do, you actually say, oh, sorry, I just noticed
I'm going to put my hand up as guilty.
Exactly. And how about, can you see how the conversation can change?
Yeah.
When we start, or even when you can say to someone politely, you'd say, I think you just put that into a box. You meant some, didn't you? Some, not all. And now we're just entering a campaign. No More Boxes movement is entering a campaign, by the way, called #some, not all. So that we can start to poke each other when we do that very gently.
Love it.
You meant some, not all. You go, oh yeah, some.
I love it. How liberating to get out of the habit of this labeling behavior that we have.
Yeah.
And how liberating, what kind of energy can that start to liberate in a vibrational sense, you know, in our vibrational frequency.
Yeah.
So let's just kind of expand this a bit more, that this isn't just about the conversation about gender equality and gender difference, because the world is having a seismic happening going on at the moment, and there's this big shakeup. So many people are looking at their lives, looking at the world, looking at society, parts of society crumbling, looking at businesses crumbling, and starting to pivot and think, okay, well, this has been kind of, we've been surfing for quite some time with, you know, quite a shaky surf, and it's really time to rethink our lives right now. And you know, so many people now are finding themselves contemplating entrepreneurhood. You know, who isn't isn't an entrepreneur now, just like, but or where we're going to live, or how we're going to adapt to the, you know, to a stay-at-home life. So this conversation about no more boxes will allow people to, because that transition is so hard for people who've been living in like a corporate box for so long, with a routine, you know, a daily routine, and serving an employer, and, you know, and the pressure that they put on their bodies and their psychology and their family, and also natural resources, just to do that very thing, whereby they're having to rethink everything. We're having to rethink everything. So this isn't just about this isn't just about gender equality
Oh,
in,
no.
in the conversation about masculinity and femininity. This is a much bigger, much bigger conversation, isn't it?
Yeah, it's much bigger. Yeah, I mean, that is just one tiny bit. It's just one tiny bit. And what I see and what we see, that's what I think is just the beauty of it. It just gives us new space to have new type of conversation in. And then it doesn't become the, well, we're so used to the polarity and to the this divisional conversation, this black and white thinking all the time. This gives us access to really watch and feel the rainbow that we have as humanity versus black and white. And and I think we're coming to that place that I think there are more people that want that want that opening, want that safe space, and just to explore. I'm doing that. Can I change it? Yes, I can. Okay, I can do that by saying some, not all. What happened when I do that? What happens inside me when I stop blaming like half of humanity for something? What energetically, like you're saying, what happens to my own vibration when I let go of the manifestations that I've been manifesting without even knowing I was manifesting? I'm letting so many people, so many of my people around me, I'm letting them, setting them free. I'm setting myself free. And then I think we have, hopefully, that's my own hope, that we can have that type of a conversation that builds upon, when you have that conversation, when you feel that you're building on it, it's like, I'm learning something. Don't. And then I think we feel that we're more united, we are more connected, we are, as a whole, we are humanity.
There was something in what you just said that really intercepted is this propensity we have for seeing things in black and white, and that actually, rather than perceiving the whole spectrum of the rainbow.
Yeah.
And this is obviously for another conversation, but of course you said the words black and white. Yeah. which of course is another huge division, not just the male female thing. Of course, it's the skin color thing, which is another one of the biggest dividers of, in humanity. So we
can go, I mean, we can go to from gender, we can go race, we can go religion, we can do background, we can do education. I mean, you go endlessly. Yeah. If you just see this, if we're actually going to believe, that's a big thing. If we believe in all of these boxes, if we believe that women are this and men are that, if we believe that black people are this and white are that, if we believe the Christians are this and Muslims are that, and we believe the people that have college or university education are this, but those who would not have that. If we believe in all that, there is absolutely no space for us to breathe.
Wow.
We're suffocating.
Yeah, totally. Totally. Oh my goodness.
It's a big one.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Can you imagine 4-letter word?
Yeah. Some. I'm going to write that down and get it into my daily dialogue. Goodness gracious, this is a really huge conversation, Runa, and even I didn't know the potential of how this can change things. So how can people join the conversation? How can they find out more about the No More Boxes movement?
Well, best thing is to go to our website, nomoreboxesmovement.com, and to take a look at what we're doing. We do have weekly calls, open calls, where we are tackling different boxes. We are about to, we're about to launch this campaign. I'm actually just saying this for the first time. the hashtag all, some, not all, which is where we not only want people to start to exercise, practice some, and practice saying to another person, you mean some, not all. And slowly we can change it with these 4-letter words, just some, not all. And so what we, in that field, we want to get people to even pledge that they choose some, not all. And together we can do this. And I think now more than ever, we have to do this.
I love that. Hashtag some, not all. That is absolutely wonderful. How uplifting. Well, this is why the House of Preeminence chooses extremely special guests doing the most important work. Some really special guests, not all of them. Some, not all, very carefully curated special guests who are really on the cusp of what is happening in the world and what is needed. I thank you so much, Runa. So is there any other resources that you want to share, as well as going to the website?
Go to the website. Once we have links for people to pledge that they are going to go forward, some, not all, then it's going to be there on that website. So I look forward to connect with people around the world who are in for some, not all.
Right. Amen to that, and our women too. Thank you, Runa. This was amazing.
Thank you. All the same.